Hi guys, it's Kat. Today, I'm showing you how I built this 1940s inspired train cabin kit. This is a gorgeous room box that also functions as a book nook. It lights up and even has a moving scene outside the window that makes the train feel like it's truly moving. The original kit is gorgeous and so true to authentic train cabins of the time, but I changed it up to show you how you can customize it as well. Let's open up the kit and get started. This is an incredibly detailed kit with over 700 pieces. There is an instruction manual, a color printout with different images for the exterior scenes. There are 3 sets of wood, vinyl, and leather sheets with laser cut pieces. And lastly, we have 2 baggies, one for the motor and battery pack, and the other with lighting and clear acrylic window panels. All of the pieces are still in the wooden sheet, so you'll need to push them out. Although this may feel like an extra step, it actually helps you find the pieces you need for each step. Most of the wood sheets are in this light oak color, and there are 2 in this darker cherry color. There are also these 4 metallic gold sheets that are actually stickers. And we also have these imitation leather sheets in beige, tan, and dark brown colors. The first thing I do is pop out the pieces I need for each step. Step 1 requires these circular gear shapes, so I pop them out of the wooden sheets. As you can see, each cutout is labeled with a number, which makes finding them a breeze. The first step requires us to make the spindles, which form the mechanism for the moving scene outside the window. It's pretty simple to do, as we're really just putting the pieces of a puzzle together. This main spindle does require us to take a piece of rubber band and wrap it around the cylindrical sides for friction. This is the first one all done. The other 4 spindles are thinner and simpler. Then we want to pop out these rectangular pieces that form the top and bottom of our moving mechanism. Remove all the little pieces from the middle of these rectangles. These empty spaces aren't actually functional, but it looks like the creator of the kit did not want to waste wood, which I absolutely appreciate. Place the 3 small spindles on 3 of the corners. We'll be using these little crescent-shaped pieces to lock the spindles in place. Just push them through the slot and the piece is locked. Our big spindle with the rubber band goes on the 4th corner. Then pop out these gear shapes. We'll place 2 of these on top of the big spindle area. Then continue to follow the instructions for assembling the rest of this motorized mechanism. There are a lot of pieces to put together, but it's really simple if you take it step by step. This yellow device is the motor that comes with the kit. There are several pieces of wood that will surround this motor and allow it to be attached to the top of the mechanism. I have to admit, some of the ways this kit works is ingenious. For example, these are little T-pins that hold some of the pieces together, but also allow it to move freely. We're almost done with this part, so let's finish up. Next, I cut out the picture that I want to use for outside the scene window. Once you have that cut out, place it around this mechanism, making sure it fits through all the proper slots. Lastly, grab 2 of the thinner rubber bands and hook them to the outermost spindle. These rubber bands will pull the spindle towards the image and provide enough grip as the image rotates around this mechanism. And this is me showing you how the image will rotate once everything is set up. Next, let's move on to the fun part of putting this train cabin together. These are the three main pieces of the train cabin: the two sides and a huge panel that goes all the way across the back and the top. Before we assemble them, we first need to cover them in leather. You can always choose to skip this step or opt for paint instead if you prefer. I simply follow the instructions and use the beige pieces for the top and the tan pieces for the bottom halves of these walls. I also add on the accent pieces. That includes the frames around all the windows. One of the first changes I made to this kit is to the big window in the train car. And instead of keeping this as a 5-panel window, I'm going to remove this top center area. I simply mark some straight lines on the frame and cut them out. This isn't a drastic change, but it makes the area look a lot cleaner. Then I continue to assemble according to the instructions. Now it's time to actually fit these 3 panels together. I'm not folding the top down just yet because I want you to easily see what I'm doing. The floor panel is this piece that comes from one of the darker pieces of wood. I love the grates at the bottom. The biggest change I'm making to this train cabin is turning it into a sleeper car with a bed. So instead of 2 bench seats, I'm making one big bed across the whole car. And to make the bed, I'm just using the pieces for one of the bench seats. I start assembling those pieces as if I were making that bench seats. This step is pretty simple as you're just building the skeleton of that bench. And then I glue on 2 more of those oval shaped pieces to one side. This adds a bit more length to make the bed fit just right into the width of the cabin. And to give the bed a soft look, I first cover this bench skeleton with some felt. I just use a bit of fabric glue and glue it all around the wood. Then I take a piece of white fabric and wrap it around this entire piece a few times. Glue on another piece of white fabric for the blanket. This one has the top hem rolled over for the look of a real blanket. While that dries, let's make the bed frame. You need these 3 leg pieces and this rectangular frame that's meant for the bench seats. Assembly is pretty straightforward with a bit of wood glue. It was at this point I realized I didn't want any of these top areas, so I just snipped them off. I slide this bed frame into the train car. Then add the bed right on top of the frame with a bit more glue. The pillow is pretty straightforward. I've shown you how to make pillows several times before in my videos, so I won't bore you with that again here. But I'm basically using some felt and adding some fabrics around it to make a plush little rectangle. The kit comes with 2 of these intricately cut pieces for some shelves. The manual gives you a few steps to make these look very authentic. However, I'm gonna keep it real simple. I add a small strip of wood to one side for support and glue it straight onto the wall. For a stronger hold, I recommend cutting the leather off the wall first in the area where you'll be gluing the shelf. Now it's time for some accessories to put on the shelf. First up is a suitcase. I just followed the instructions to put together this suitcase that opens and closes. I love that the leather is already cut so there's no guesswork needed. Next up is a second suitcase that kind of looks like a radio. This one doesn't open, but it still looks amazing. The next thing I'm customizing is adding a desk. Since we're not crowding this train car with 2 bench seats, we have a lot of space to play with. To make the desk, I'm using the scrap area from one of the wooden sheets. I just cut out a piece that's 1.5 inches by 3.25 inches. Add a few strips for additional support on the bottom and glue it to the wall underneath the shelf. These little strips will help keep the desk flat and give it a more robust look. To make the desk more stable, I grabbed this additional seat base. I cut off the edges and this long area that's meant to be the bench back. Then cover it in metallic sticker. Glue this underneath the desk against the wall to give the desk a nice 90-degree angle. We'll come back to finishing up this desk in just a little bit, but let me first show you how to make a custom luggage trunk using what's included in the kit. Since I'm not building the bench seats, I have all these extra wood cutouts that I won't need. So instead, I'll use this area as though it were just a blank piece of wood. To ensure the cutouts don't pop out, I first spread glue across the entire sheet on both sides. Once that's dry, simply cut out a few rectangles to create a rectangular prism for your trunk. This can be any size you want. You can make it wider or thinner, depending on your taste. We also have extra dark brown leather because we're not building the bench seats. So I cut a piece the same width as the box I built and wrap it around the box. Make sure to cover up all the sides. Then I cut some thin tan leather strips by using the scrap material between pieces. I wrap these around the trunk to give it a bit more dimension. Then add some tiny pieces of metallic gold scraps for the look of hardware. And lastly, I print out some travel labels I found online and glue them all over the trunk. This final detail really ties the piece together. I like the labels so much that I added them onto the small suitcase as well. Next, we need a seat for our desk. The kit comes with these 3 pieces that form a little table. I'll be using this as a chair, so all I do is shorten the middle post. Then I reassemble it with some glue. This is optional, but I decided to cover the seat base in some extra tan leather. I also added some metallic glow sticker to the post and the base to match the table. Then I add a little desk mat from more scrap tan leather to tie this whole area together. I love how this room is coming together. One of the things I wanted to change the most about this kit is how small it felt inside this cabin. This is a mirror sheet sticker. I simply cut a rectangle that'll fit on the wall across from our shelf and stick it on. Remove the blue protective film and the cabin already feels so much bigger. Then I add some wooden strips around this mirror to make it look like a built-in. Speaking of built-ins, we need some lighting. I want one light right above the pillow on the bed, so I'll be drilling a hole there. For the light fixtures themselves, the kit comes with these little pieces of wood and these shapes in metallic sticker paper. You simply fold the metallic sticker over like this to form a little tiny lampshade. Then glue that onto the little wooden bracket. Glue the bracket right over the hole that we drill, making sure that the holes line up. I drilled another hole right above the desk to put a light there. Now let's move outside this train car and finish this kit up. To install the lights, we first need to add some brackets on all 4 corners of the window. These pop right into place. These brackets will allow us to wrap the string lights all around the window and illuminate the exterior scene. This is the set of lights that comes in the kit. It's a really long strand of warm color LEDs. Before we install them, I finally fold over the back panel to create the roof of this cabin. The kit comes with these tiny little brackets that push into the slots and hold the wires in place. This is so smart and makes installation super easy. Do that across the top of the entire roof. For the areas that didn't have these little slots, I used some black electrical tape. This is the back of the train car, and this is the hole that we drill right above the pillow. I stick the light in and use tape to hold it in place. Now I wrap the excess light around the 4 brackets of the window. The reason there are so many lights around the window is to really brighten up the scene that we'll be adding. When you get to the end of the string light, add one last one to the hole we made. This is the one for right above the desk. Next, pick up this entire train car and place it above this large base. The kit comes with these little pieces which form the legs for our motorized piece. I insert them in the back area of this bottom panel. The motorized piece fits perfectly right on top of it. We're almost there, guys, just a few steps left. Let's create the front door and windows. The front panel of this train car is this large piece right here. Remove all the unrelated pieces. Stick on the included beige and tan leather cutouts. Also add on the metallic window trim and the door trim. And these are the crystal clear acrylic panels that go in the windows. This is a sliding front door. You simply combine the wood, the leather, and the metallic trim to create the door. Then insert this beautifully laser cut window panel. Attach these little clips to the top and bottom of the door. This is what will allow the door to slide from side to side to open and shut. Add a spacer on the front panel and place the door into the slots. The door is held in place by larger strips that form a beam. Place one right above the door and another one on the bottom of the door. This panel is ready to get attached to the train car, but before we do that, just 2 more tiny details. I cut a few of the newspaper images from the included image sheet and add them to the desk. I also add this included intercom sticker to the wall. Then lastly, I made this tiny little tea set to go on the desk as well. These are all optional, but I love how these little details bring a bit more life to the scene. Now add on the front panel. Once that's on, you can finish adding on all the other big panels. That includes the 2 huge pieces on the sides and the 1 panel on the back. I didn't change up the exterior too much because the design looks great as it is. So instead, I simply follow the instructions and add on leather panels and decorative trim to the sides. The only areas I changed up were on the fronts. Instead of adding the logo for the company, I chose to close this area up by adding more scrap tan leather to that area. I also chose not to use any of the dark brown leather on the trim because I like the look of the wood. To tie the look together, I also take this wooden piece that's meant to be a radiator inside the cabin. I didn't end up using it for that, so I glued this to the front bottom of the train car to give the exterior a bit more definition. Now let's finish up the top opening. Here are the 4 corner tabs that will hold the magnets for the top panel. I put them together according to the instructions. Then install them on the top 4 corners. Add a magnet into each of the 4 openings. Slide on this curved support rail. Now we're ready to add power to this entire setup. This is the easy wire connector that comes in the kit. It allows you to connect wires without tape or soldering. You just slide the wire into the hole and push the lever down to secure it. So what I do here is take the red wire from the motor and the red wire from the string lights and twist them together. I do the same thing for the black wire from the motor and the black wire from the string lights. I slip the red wires into the orange slot and push the lever down. Then I take the black wires and slide them into the blue slot and push the lever down. So now you have one set of red wires and one set of black wires. We're now on the last and final piece of the kit, and that's the top panel that holds the battery pack. These are the 5 pieces that clip together to form a box to hold a battery pack. They also lock right into the top panel. Go ahead and cover this top area with tan leather as instructed. I also glue on the circular pieces that closes up the hole and hides the magnets. Flip this piece around and glue in the last 4 magnets in place. The kit did not say to do this, but I chose to epoxy these magnets in place. Now grab the battery pack that's included in the kit. It has 1 red wire and 1 black wire. I already put in 3 AA batteries. Insert this battery pack into the top panel, making sure that the wires are inserted through the open slots. Place this top panel on top of the room box. Then slide the red wire into the orange side of the easy wire connector and the black wire into the blue side. We're just matching red wires with red wires and black wires with black. Then as a final step, I just cover these circles with more scrap leather to camouflage them. And that's it. This train cabin turned sleeper cart is all done. I simply cannot get enough of how gorgeous this looks when it's on and even when it's off. This was such a fun kit to put together, and I've learned so much throughout the process. This is a really well designed kit for those of you who enjoy puzzles and want something therapeutic to work on. Although I customized several key elements, you can absolutely build it according to plan. I love this as a miniature, but it also looks amazing on my shelf with my books. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.